Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of In Lieu of Murder with Amanda Marie.
And I Noah. Today we're gonna be touching a touchy subject.
We're just gonna touch it.
We're gonna touch it. It's quite controversial. We're gonna be talking about Donald Trump and his executive orders, mainly this whole immigration fiasco that's going on, because there's so many of them that it's gonna be hard to touch them all. I think it's a great follow up episode to red flags because man, if anybody has red flags, I feel like it's President Donald Trump. But let's hit the intro and we'll be right back.
Hold up, fly high, but I never touch the sun. Stop, no way, I don't wanna find the one. You want that younger puppy love, you're dreaming. Told you I don't wanna catch no feelings. Give me love, fuck it up, get the gun, bang. Run it up to the top, give me your red flag. Give me love, fuck it up, get the gun, bang.
We're back.
Before we start, number one, I want to say that I think both Noah and I are going to try to remain as neutral as possible when speaking on this because number one, I'm not a super political person, so you're going to hear me ask questions that I might not understand. Number two, I think a lot of people in general with any intelligence have conflicted feelings about our current president. Um, so I want anyone to know that if anything comes across as offensive, do better. Anyways, um,
Can
but
I
before,
just say something beforehand? You
yes, of
know,
course,
I don't think either of us are very political in the sense that, we're not either for the elephants or the donkeys. You know what I mean?
right.
Um, my mom always told me that it's the same dog, just with a different color. Um,
That's a good way to put it.
yeah, but I'm gonna try to remain like you said, neutral. It's so hard because I feel like President Trump is one of those people that either really invokes like liking him or hating him. Like he is very extremist in the feelings that he brings out of people. It is so hard to try to sympathize and look at it from a logical point of view. So that's going to be a challenge. Let's see if we can, rise up to it. But
Well, so and before we go into the whole executive order immigration talk, I actually, if you don't mind, I wanted to share something with you. And I was not written by me. It was written by a guy named Adam Troy Castro. But
okay.
it's something that I had come across earlier and it speaks volumes to me. So, I'm going to share it with y'all and it's also on the page. So, um a real question from a Trump supporter. Why do liberals think Trump, not trunk, y'all, Trump supporters are stupid? The serious answer. Here's what the majority of anti Trump voters honestly feel about Trump supporters in mass. Okay? That when you saw a man who had owned a fraudulent university intent on scamming poor people, you thought, fine. That when you saw a man who had made it his business practice to stiff his creditors, you said, okay. That when you heard him proudly brag about his own history of sexual abuse, you said, no problem. Hmm. That when he made up stories about seeing Muslim Americans in the thousands cheering the destruction of the World Trade Center, you said, not an issue. That when you saw him brag that he could shoot a man on Fifth Avenue and you wouldn't care, you exclaimed, he sure knows me. That when you heard him relating a story of an elderly guest of his country club, an 80-year-old man who fell off the stage and hit his head, to Trump replied, "Oh my God, that's disgusting." And I turned away. I couldn't, he was right in front of me. And I turned away. I didn't want to touch him. He was bleeding all over the place, and I felt terrible because it was a beautiful white marble floor that had now changed color. It became very red. You said, "That's cool." Hmm. That when you saw him mock the disabled, you thought it was the funniest thing you ever saw. That when you heard him brag that he doesn't read books, you said, "Well, who has time?" That when Central Park 5 were compensated as innocent men convicted of a crime they didn't commit, and he angrily said that they should still be in prison, you said, "That makes sense." Hmm. Whew. That when you heard him tell his supporters to beat up protesters and that he would hire attorneys, you thought, yes. That when you heard him tell one rally to confiscate a man's coat before throwing him out into the freezing cold, you said, "What a great guy." That you have watched the parade of neo-Nazis and white supremacists with whom he curries favor while refusing to condemn outright Nazis, and you have said, "Thumbs up." That you hear him unable to talk to foreign dignitaries without insulting their countries and demanding that they praise his electoral win. You said, "That's the way I want my president to be." That you hear him unable to, sorry, same one. That you watched him remove expertise from all layers of the government in favor of people who make money off of eliminating protections in the industries they're supposed to be regulating. And you have said, "What a genius." This is getting scary. That you have heard him continue to profit from his businesses, in part by leveraging his position as president to the point of overcharging the Secret Service for space in the properties he owns. And you said, "That's smart." That you have heard him say that it was difficult to help Puerto Rico because it was in the middle of the water. And you have said, "That makes sense." That you have seen him start fights with every country from Canada to New Zealand while praising Russia and, quote, falling in love with the dictator of North Korea. And you have said, "That's statesmanship." That Trump separated children from their families and put them in cages, managed to lose track of 1,500 kids, has opened a tent city incarceration camp in the desert in Texas, and he explains that they were just animals. And you say, "Well, okay then." Hmm. That you have witnessed all the 1,001 other manifestations of corruption and low moral character and outright animalistic rudeness and contempt for you, the working American voter, and you still show up grinning and wearing your MAGA hats and threatening to beat up anybody who says otherwise. What you don't get, Trump supporters, is that our succumbing to frustration and shaking our heads thinking of you as stupid may very well be wrong and unhelpful, but it's also, hear me, charitable. Because if you're not stupid, we must turn to other explanations, and most of them are less flattering. Signed by Adam
Preach.
Castro.
I mean, so much for staying
So,
neutral, but that shit's, I actually, the thing about the 80-year-old man, I actually listened to the Howard Stern interview. If anybody wants to look it up, they can just Google it on YouTube. And it gave me freaking chills, like ick, like what the fuck?
well, and I can tell you, like, I don't even know parts of those, but when y'all see it on the page, you can click on each one. Like, there's a link after each little thing I just said that shows you when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like any of that Mr. Castro made up.
Yeah.
There's literally news proof of everything he just said.
Yeah, and I mean, I truly believe in like personal growth and being able to change as a person, but I truly don't feel that he's when these things happened, he was at an age that if he would have like changed as a person, it would have happened beforehand. I just don't. I don't know. To be honest with you, it's like I said, it's really hard to stay neutral with this man. But
Well, and let me just say, for those of you that don't know, I personally believe that Trump is a very intelligent person. I do. I think that he's super smart with business. I think he's more intelligent than most people we know. What I don't understand is why half of the country can't see how manipulative he is,
yeah,
because that intelligence that he has, he uses to gain the trust of clearly several not so intelligent people.
hmm
Um, because as far as personality or moral character, that is lacking.
yeah. I mean, and speaking on intelligence, to be honest, so was Hitler. And I think
Yeah.
I think here's what happens with Trump. He is a very smart business person.
Mhm.
And we're in a country right now where groceries are through the roof. Eggs are like $10 a fucking carton. You know, I always complain about grapes because I buy grapes all the time, but they're also really expensive.
They really are expensive.
Like everything is so expensive. How the housing is like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to purchase a house with the interest rates. Like everything is so expensive. And so he sees the American people, the everyday Joe and Jane, you know, struggling. And he's like, oh, there's a need to be fulfilled there. So he's doing what other awful people before him have done, and he's filled that need with someone to blame.
Yep.
Because we never we always want to find, like, it's very human of us to find a reason for our struggles. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Like in relationships and work.
Absolutely. It's easier to blame somebody else than it is to just say, "Oh, well, I could have done it this way."
Exactly. Like Hitler did the same thing with the Jews. There was Germany was in turmoil. Their money was worth absolutely nothing because of all the tariffs imposed on the country after World War One,
Mhm.
and the people did not have jobs. They could not eat. So what did he do? He found a common enemy. He united his country, or you know, by finding a common enemy, and in his case was the Jews. I feel like in our case is the illegal, you know, immigrants from various countries, Latin America. But I mean, at this point, with what he's doing with the, you know, 14th Amendment, he wants to end birthright citizenship. That also affects legal immigrants that are here on visas like student visas or work visas. You know,
Right.
because at this point in time, if you know that student gets pregnant and has a child, her child is is not American if she's not American or has a green card. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like an actual, you know, permanent resident card. Um, so now what does she do? Like if she's pregnant, or somebody that works here that has maybe been working here for 5 years, 10 years, she gets pregnant, her child does not get any benefits, does not get a social security number. She cannot put him on her insurance, even if she has it, which if she's working, I'm assuming she does.
Right.
Like these are not, like, it's not just illegal immigrants. These are people that are paying taxes that came here legally. Um, they just don't have permanent residency. But and these are smart people. These are people working in our Fortune 500 companies in tech and going to Harvard and Yale, and you know what I mean. These are
Well, and even on top of that, these are also, your blue collar workers. These are your project managers for that $3 million home you're building.
mhm,
And, your roofers and, 90% of your laborers across at least the Southeast, I know for sure, because that's where I live, and people are like, "Oh, oh, this is a great idea." Why is it a great idea?
yeah. Explain it to me.
Because I
Why?
don't know about other people, but if they no longer are provided, and I'm not saying, all right, I'm not saying this should be in every person's situation, you know, but if you are here on a work visa, you are here in our country legally. You are, or you are, and when I say legally, I mean like you went and applied and you got your EIN number and you're working here and you're paying your taxes and etc. And you need that to do just about everything. Like you can't even get housing without that number. Like you can't get an apartment. You can't, so a lot of people that come from out of the country do go to the extremes to get those things. They're not just here laying low under the table, hiding from the government and shacks and stuff like that. I'm talking about all the people that are here. So you mean to tell me that their kids are going to no longer have health insurance or any kind of benefit, and probably can't even at that point register for public school. So there's no benefit to them staying here.
Hmm.
So then they don't come. So can anyone tell me who's going to build the houses in the Southeast?
Yeah. Or do a bunch of other stuff like pick the vegetables, etc., etc. I mean,
Yeah, I mean
but
farmers, there's so many harvesters, but
and
even
then
beyond that, all these people are like, "Oh, the job force, the job force." Y'all, I can tell you that they're more than half of the job. I don't want to say half. They are a
no,
large percentage of the working job force, and they fill a lot of positions that other people don't want to take sometimes.
yeah, like I feel I read as far as agriculture, I feel I read that illegal immigrants make up about 25%
Right.
of the
I believe
workers
that because of
in
the harvest.
agriculture. Yeah. And you think, oh, 25%, that's only a quarter. That's not a lot. But do you know how many people are in this country? There's a lot, 25%
Well, and
over
I
the
can tell you this tiny little farm that's right up by our house, and when I say tiny, y'all, I mean that it takes me less than 30 seconds to drive past this farm. They specifically hire 255 harvesters a year. So a quarter of that is still 50 people.
Mhm.
And
And the
50 people might not seem like a lot, but there's only 900 people in my town.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna touch on legal immigrants in a second, like legal work visas and stuff like that in a second. But touching on illegal immigration, I do also want to, make you guys aware that I don't think a lot of Americans are aware that most illegal immigrants do have a tax ID number, like you mentioned, and they do pay taxes. Like for
Mhm.
instance, in 2022, undocumented immigrants paid 75.6 billion in total taxes. 75.6 billion in total taxes. That's money that goes to schools, to healthcare, to a lot of programs.
To the federal budget to help with food stamps
Mhm.
and all of those things.
And to state budgets. So part like it
Mhm.
was 29 billion in state taxes and then the rest in federal taxes. So it helps the state, it helps the federal government. And sure, I've been around illegal immigrants. Growing up, I've dated them as well. So maybe yeah.
Red flags
Um,
episode.
and I have to say that sure, maybe they get paid under the table a little bit. Maybe they don't declare everything that they make. But do you know anybody that has a 1099 or their own company that doesn't keep as much money under the table as as they possibly can?
Right,
Because
everybody does it. When you get paid cash from your friend for babysitting, you don't claim it on your taxes.
exactly, you don't claim it. When I get cash tips when I'm doing Uber Eats or DoorDash or something like that, I don't put that on my taxes. The government don't need to know
Yes, you
that.
do put that on your taxes because we
I mean,
lied.
I do put that on my tax. I'm playing. I'm just trying to relate to people. IRS.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to be relatable. Of course, I put everything on my taxes. Oh, I forgot.
Whatever, they
um
don't either.
But what I'm saying is that this is money that's necessary. without this money, they have to cut things off. Like, for instance, do you know that they have cut can't fucking speak, cut the funding for cancer research,
I did know that.
specifically in children. They've also, in June, the last administration started a federal program to assist uh, states and local districts with school shooting prevention, right? And they just assembled in October. They haven't even this is a new program. It hasn't even really started. He's scratched that off the table. And I
Because
can
to him, I mean, he wants to blame that on immigrants. But I'm sorry, most school shootings are by white kids
Mhm.
from America whose parents are middle class. That's
And probably vote for Trump.
right, right.
Um, but the thing is, I can understand scratching a program like that if it's been going on for a while and it doesn't work. But this program is just started and it's meant to protect our children. So if you're saying you want to protect the American people, why are you doing something like this that's going to disproportionately like affect them, their families, everybody? Like, it's just unreal to me. Unreal to me that the people are believing this. So because it isn't real to me, and I think I might have mentioned in passing to you, it made me think, okay, so let's just say um that the real reason why all this immigration stuff is going on is not because of the American people, which I don't think it is. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that it really is not about the American people. Then who benefits from these policies? And it got me thinking, fuck, prison systems,
Right,
privatized,
because that's where they send the immigrants before they deport them.
mhm,
Well,
privatized
I was
prison
about to say, but
systems.
in specifically, it would be a private prison.
Yeah, privatized prison systems get these contracts, and then they get
And
federal
I don't know how
funding.
many of y'all knew that you could own a prison, but you can.
Amanda, maybe that's an endeavor we should embark on.
Might be my thing, y'all. I'm pretty
This
good
has
with
nothing to
building.
do with this, but the other day I saw a little video that said it was this girl, right? And she's like pretending she's walking into the prison. She's like, I'm here for a conjugal visit. And the officer goes, okay, what's the name? And she goes, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm a volunteer. Oh God. But yeah, it had nothing to do with what we're talking,
How
but
do I apply for that position?
volunteering at the prison. Um, but yeah, no, even and it got me thinking. So one of the main there's I think two privatized prison companies or organizations or whatever you want to call it. One of them is called GEO. The stock from GEO, since President Trump has become elected, has fucking skyrocketed.
Yeah, I think you told me, it used to be like 17%, right?
About 6 months ago, $17
Right. Oh,
um
sorry,
to buy
7%, I
stock.
meant dollars.
Yeah. And I think I checked it a couple days ago. I don't know if it was at 31 or 33. That's a significant jump.
Yeah, it's almost a double.
It's almost double. Yeah, and from when he became president, from when he took office to now is, I think it was like 22 or something right before he was in office, and now is 33. So it's like $10 more or something like that. But it's still, that's a whole lot of money um per stock.
Right.
So that means that when the stock goes up, and collect me if I collect me, collect me,
Yeah,
Amanda.
you have been collected.
Uh, shoot, are you ICE? Don't collect me anymore. I don't want to be deported. Just kidding. I'm American.
Ice,
Um,
ice, baby. Sorry, I had to do it.
but so what was I saying? Fucking
You were
ADHD,
talking
man.
about the stocks and why
Oh, the
that's an
stocks.
interesting correlation.
Correct me if I am wrong, because I do not know a lot about stocks. I will be quite open about that. When if a stock in a company is up, it means that the company's health or um possibility to earn more is up as well. Is that true?
Yes.
So they're foreseeing that the company is be going to be doing really well financially in the future, and therefore the stock goes up.
Oh, I bet they will be because, private prisons get a monthly check for each prisoner they hold.
They hold. So is President Donald Trump deporting immigrants because it's good for the American people? Or is he deporting immigrants because he's lining his pockets with, or lining the pockets of his friends and his pockets? So I don't know if you know this. I think it's funny that, for instance, the GEO group, they actually had like their annual, whatever party that they do, um, at Trump's um resort thingy in Mar-a-Lago. And I found an article that I find interesting that mentions something that George Soley, the company's founder and executive chairman, said in a call. Uh, he was assuring the participants of his company, um, and I'm going to quote, capability to rapidly scale up. And this is the services and the influx of 25 million in revenues for air transport alone. Air transport alone, 25 million to transport the immigrants. And then, quote again, it feels like with this election this year, we're heading into an era that we really haven't seen, maybe only once or twice in the company's history, where the value proposition of the private sector for both our state partners and our federal partners are going to not only be strong today, but even stronger as we go in the next couple of years. That's Damon Henniger, CEO of Core Civic. So the first thing I said was the CEO, the executive, the chairman, George Soley, about the capability is going to rapidly scale up. And then the second one was the CEO of Core Civic, which is the other privatized prison company. So, I mean, and this is going to cost, so this is funny. It says in the article, while Solly and Henninger will be amply compensated for their work, such an effort could potentially cost the federal government and its taxpayers, folks, that's you and me,
Right.
as much as 88 billion a year. The federal
Yeah,
government,
how are we gonna cover that if we're gonna take all of the illegals' money away from taxes?
exactly. This is, I don't know, but this is how, I mean, kind of sort of the same thing with the tariffs he wants to impose on everybody, Canada, Mexico, which are fucking ridiculous. Do you think the companies that import into, and that's the, I mean, that's wood from Canada, or gas and electricity, majority of it come from Canada. A lot of it comes from Canada. Like if he puts taxes like an import tax, or export tax or whatever on those goods, do you think the company is going to incur those costs? No. You know who they are going to put those cost on? Us.
Yep. And that's for everything. Y'all think eggs were expensive before. Wait till America runs out of eggs. They ain't gonna get them nowhere else.
I like avocados. A lot of them come from Mexico. Avocados from Mexico. They're
I like
already
banana.
expensive. Like I just
That's why your grapes are gonna keep getting more expensive. Because all the grapes in America are used for wine.
Yeah. I actually don't know where my grapes come from. I just know that they're good. So, um,
Doesn't matter where they come from. They're going to be $19 a grape before the end of the year.
I just it honestly baffles me that there's so many people. And again, said I was going to remain neutral. You said that as well, but it is really hard to be able to see what's actually truly going on and the reasons behind all these policies that he's, an old, I mean, he's going into trying to go into schools, standing outside of churches with, I mean, not Trump, but the ICE agents. You know what I mean? It's
So,
really hard to see that and not think that Trump supported people that support him. Like, how can you support him? How can you still think that all this is being done in your favor and not at at your expense? Because you're gonna be. I can tell you something. My gas is more expensive now than when Biden was in office. At least 30 cents has gone up over here.
see, and I can't say anything because prices for housing went down almost overnight in Georgia when Trump became president.
Yeah, you know what else went down? Our BAH.
Morale.
Yeah, morale. um Well,
Your
BAH is
BAH.
basic allowance in housing has gone down. Only like 30 something dollars or something like that. It wasn't like a big change. But it's gone down as well.
So I want to do something because for the most part, you've read most of the executive orders that have to do with immigration that Trump has written, right?
I mean, I haven't really read them. I think we've discussed I don't think we've read any of the executive orders. Is that something you want to do? Because we can.
No, no, I meant you as an individual know what
Oh,
most of them are.
yeah, I have read them. It's just I have read so
Okay,
much that.
now I want you to stop there because now I want to read you 6 things and I want you to tell me if this sounds similar and then I'm going to tell you why. Okay?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm just going to read you 6 things. Expedited removal. This is a process normally used near the border where one that raises significant concerns about due process against immigrants found anywhere within the country. It would enact raids in sensitive zones like schools, hospitals, and religious institutions. You just said that.
Mm-hmm. True.
Okay.
Yes.
Next one, militarizing the border. This would be using military personnel and hardware to prevent crossings at the border. And it would cause for new laws to shut down the border. And we know that that's a place that Trump's leaning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next one is expanding the immigrant detention centers, which would
Yes.
be doubling the number of immigrants up to 100,000 on any day who could be locked up and facing deportation. We just heard her speak about that with the private prisons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, eliminating popular relief programs. So, this would indirectly end protections for more than 500,000 dreamers who arrive here with children that are born in the country and would take away their rights to like their birthrights for a citizenship. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, mandating misguided work verification programs. So this would expand e-verify, which is a system intended to prove like if employees are eligible to work in the US. But it would rely on highly error prone systems that would shut out, those eligible workers.
Okay.
So changing the programs to take away their ability to work in the US. And the last one is entangling local and federal enforcement. So, more or less, this would be the expansion of state and local police involvement in the enforcement of federal immigration laws. So, more or less, they would mandate states to participate. That sounds a lot like everything he's starting to enforce.
Yeah.
The reason I just read y'all all of that is directly from Project 2025 for the immigrant changes for when Trump, the person who says he did not have any backing for Project 2025 and was not part of the writing of Project 2025, and that
And
had
he
nothing.
didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, no, of course he didn't. No. Well, then why does it say exactly what he's doing? I thought Project 2025 wasn't real. Because those 6 things are the 6 things that are touched on for immigration for Project 2025, as I just read them to you.
Yeah,
So, who's lying?
he is, but he has
No,
been.
Project 2025 said it was Trump's plan. And then he
I'm-
said, "No, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know them people."
Yeah, I don't even that picture. That's not me. That's been Photoshop. That's not me head shaking the. No, what are you talking about?
I wasn't there. I wasn't there.
That's not, and that's another orange person.
Yeah, there's a lot of them here in this country.
Oh God.
I mean, technically, Trump's the minority here. He's orange. We don't even have that many orange people.
You know, New Zealand has started like some bakeries making like little orange moron cakes.
I wonder what the tariff on those are going to be.
I'll pay it
I will too.
just so I can say that I like
I'll buy
I can,
extra just to say,
like a
yep.
smash cake. You know, just smash them. Man, every time I say something like that, I think we said we were gonna remain neutral, and I just said I wanted to smash a
But I
cake.
am, and this is the thing, like, this is the sucky part for me because I am neutral. I'm
Mhm.
a firm believer in you have to support whoever your president is because we're Americans, and I was raised in America, and I was raised by, my grandfather was military,
Mhm.
and I know that you can understand this because your stepdad was military, you
And my
know,
brother.
and your current husband.
Yeah, my husband's military. My
So
brother was in the army, and my father, which well, stepdad, but he was a father to me. He was in the Air
right.
Force.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, like, I grew up in an era where we still got to stand up and put our hands on our chests and say the Pledge of
Pledge
Allegiance.
of every morning.
Yes, and I grew up in an era where we sung the Star Spangled Banner, and that was an important part of our day every day, and
It was
so
indoctrination.
it's one of those things where it's like, you grow up in a country and you grow up being taught how great America is.
Mhm.
And how much we have to offer the world and why everybody wants to be here, and you're proud of that. And
Yeah.
then you become an adult and you're like, "Oh, man, I got friends that wanna come here, I got friends in other countries, I got family in other countries," and they're all like, "Oh, everybody wants to come to America." And then somewhere around, like, 10 years ago, the world started making fun of us. And then we elected Trump the first time, and we were the laughing stock of the entire world for 4 years. And I'm not gonna say that we haven't been the last 4 years either because we have, you
Yeah.
know, but it's it's absolutely horrendous that we are going to change this country from the country that everyone wants to be in to the country that nobody even respects anymore.
Yeah. That's true.
And that's the scary part for people like me that try really hard to remain neutral. Now, I said neutral. I meant neutral and mutual, not mutual. My brain's not working. Neutral. I try to remain neutral because I am a strong believer and you support whoever the president is because they're supposed to do what's best for our country and for its citizens. But y'all, if we're going to be making these kinds of decisions, I think that we as a country should get to vote on the whole thing, not just the president,
Yeah.
because I
I-
vote against it. I think we are making one of the biggest mistakes that America could make right now. And I'm not saying the mistake was putting Trump in office. That is what it is, regardless. To me, most presidents are just pawns, anyways, but we are making very real decisions that are going to affect our economy for our children's lives. Because
Yeah.
this isn't going to affect us the next 3 years. We're not going to see the huge ripple effects over the next couple of years. Where those ripple effects are going to hit us is in the next term with the next president, and then everyone's going to blame that president. But that's when it's going to hit us, because that's when America's going to run out of more money. But that's
Yeah.
okay. We'll just borrow more from China, right?
I mean, I agree. I agree with that. I also slightly disagree. I mean, I think it's gonna hit us sooner than later, to be honest with you, in the sense that he's already cutting a lot of federal programs like Meals on Wheels and stuff like that. So you know what I mean, like cutting funding to these programs. Um, but you're right. Some people will see, unfortunately, the effects sooner than later, especially if they require aid from the state or from the federal government when it comes to like affordable housing and food stamps and all that stuff.
And when I say my children or our children, it would
Yeah,
affect. I didn't mean. I know that some people are going to feel it immediately.
yeah,
I'm not one of those people, but I also do not rely on any federal funding whatsoever.
yeah,
And if I did, I know it would affect me. I have close friends that rely on food stamps to feed their children, though. And I have tenants across multiple cities, in the state of Georgia that depend on affordable housing,
yeah. I mean,
and when
there's
all that disappears, what happens?
exactly. I mean, there's so much that he's doing that it's honestly kind of scary. And even when I read and see that they are, to be honest with you, I think he's trying to be the Putin of America. I think he's pushing to have, more terms than just this one. I mean, the last president to serve more than 2 terms was Roosevelt, but he was a great fucking president. And that's where he wants to take America back to Roosevelt during
How
World
many terms did he serve?
he served 3.
I thought you could only serve 2.
He's after him, that's when they made it that you could only serve 2.
Oh, okay.
But he served
Who's
3.
Putin?
He died. He wasn't elected again because he died. If he wouldn't have died, he would have probably been elected. He was honestly a great fucking
Roosevelt will
president.
be the president right now if we'd let him.
Yes. And I feel like that's where he wants to take America back to the 50s. And that's great if you're white and male. But I mean, the 50s was a time where um POWs from Germany were treated better and had better facilities than African American people fighting in World War II. So it's just
So, for those of us that don't understand what you're saying right now, can you tell me what a POW is?
POW, prisoner of war.
Oh, okay.
A POW. Pow pow. No, it's a prison.
I asked you who Putin was earlier too, but that's okay.
Oh,
Other people probably know who that is, so it's all
yeah,
right.
I'm pretty sure they do. And if not, I'm gonna
Um,
tell you what you tell some people on Facebook. Google it. Just kidding.
I only tell that to creepy people. Um,
But yeah, so it feels like the time that I mean, no, I love the fashion in the 50s. I would love to go back to the 50s just to visit, to be honest with you.
I always wanted to be a Tupperware sales lady.
But I feel like the 50s, he's not going to bring back the other good things about the 50s, like, a job that allowed you to buy a home and go on vacation with your children in the summer, and house prices that, were
Right, one income
feasible.
households that actually
One
make
income,
it.
yeah, that none of that is coming fucking back. Like, none of it. So what exactly are we I mean, there's just so much to touch on in so little fucking time. But before we go, there's just 3 things I want to say, and then I'll let you close us out. But one, Elon Musk, I the other day I saw oh my god, I saw um him. He made a video appearance at a rally for the AFB, which is AFD, sorry, which is Alternatives for Deutschland. Deutschland is Germany, which is an extremist party that, like if Hitler's party would have continued, this would be it. But he was there supporting the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland,
I
which
thought it was going to be America's First Dolls.
that's America's First Dolls, which is concerning to me that people that are so closely, tied to our president have these views. How can our president not share them? You know what I mean? That's number one. Number two, what you said about patriotism and stuff like that. I was born in Spain, but I came here when I was 13. I went through all of that in school myself. And I mean, when I went back to Spain, for a little while, I can tell you that I cried when I heard country music. And I didn't even really like country music, but this country does a really good job at creating a sense of patriotism. You know what I mean? It really does a great job at that. You feel proud of the stars and the stripes, like you really fucking do. Even when you're not born here.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening now is making me question everything, because this is a great country, but the route that is going towards, it's appalling.
Scary.
It's fucking scary. It's really fucking scary.
And it's really scary to see the amount of people that support and back up. And listen, I don't knock anybody for their political beliefs. I have friends on both sides of this situation. However, right is right and wrong is wrong. And I'm always going to speak for what's right, even if it doesn't agree with somebody else's belief. And I've lost friends over this. And y'all, I'm not like a controversy type. I'm not fixing to yell with you in public about this.
Mhm.
I will simply, as you ramble on about whatever you have to say, look at you and say, I disagree. And that'll be all that I'll say, because I'm not fixing to explain logic to grown ass adults, man. I'm not doing it. If I have to tell you how to be intelligent, I am too smart for this conversation. I don't want to do it, and I'm not going to do it. And I'm not saying I'm always right, but I am saying right is right and wrong is wrong morally, no matter how you look at it. You can explain money and logic to me all day long, but this is not ours to do that with. I'm not fixing to tell people you can't come to America. I'm not. I don't own America, y'all. And Trump don't either.
You're right. I wonder what Native Americans would have if they had a Trump and they were united when the colonizers came here. I really do wonder if they would have been like, oh, these illegal immigrants, they need to get the fuck out of here. This
Right.
country would not be white. And like, I recently read an article because of this whole immigration issue. A lot of Native Americans are getting caught up in the crossfire. And so they're being detained for hours. And as to prove that they are American, they are native to this country, but because they're brown and their skin is brown, they will be detained for hours without being able to contact. And the representative for the Navajo country said, you cannot be illegal on stolen land.
Boom.
So
was
with
that
that
the
said-
third thing that you were going to say?
Yeah, that was the third thing I was going to say. We got to go.
I'm sure we'll talk about this more.
In lieu of murder, it's not
Like and subscribe, y'all.
dating disasters you can't resist. From
All right, I got to go.